Can I ask you what your top 3 tips are for pulling together ideas into a workable narrative?
Well, number one is to, treat the project management process seriously, not to just kind of wander off and sort of hope for the best. To take it seriously. If it's worth doing, it's worth taking seriously. Number 2 is to study how novels work. And a lot of people, most writers, are avid readers, but they're not particularly, or they're not necessarily critical readers. And it's really important when you're reading a novel, if you want to be a novelist, that you try and unpick it, you try and understand how it works, where the key turning points happen, how narrative interest is created in the beginning of it, or across the middle of it, or towards the end. Work out how characters are portrayed and what kind of effect that has. You really do need to be a critical reader. And the third one is just to have really, really good work habits. And that means learning when to turn off the internet and knowing that you're going to have to turn down a lot of social engagements and just scheduling the time into your diary to actually do this thing that you say you want to do. And if you don't do that, then I don't believe you actually want to do it. You know what I mean?
It's quite interesting to hear you talk about critical reading. I know that at one point I was worried that these sorts of tags that I was using at the end of dialogue was too stupid. I was going too overboard, and so I went back and read some of my favourite books to see how they did it.
Yeah, absolutely. Why? I mean, it's all well and good to come and learn from Kim Wilkins. I mean, that's fine. I mean, she's fantastic. But, with your brain and your book collection, you can learn from anyone. You can learn from your favourite writer. You can learn from Tolkien. You can learn from Shakespeare. You can learn from whoever you want to learn from just by reading their work, because the evidence is right there in front of you. You just have to read it critically and go, every time something, fair enough, read a book once for fun and then go back and read it again and work out how it was done. Why did I feel this there? What has the author done? What words have they used? What particular structural technique has made me feel that way?
Do you potentially have an exercise? So I'm assuming that when people come to your course, they start off with a seed idea and then they will expand it out into a framework. Do you have an exercise for, if people say, oh, well, I know at the start of the idea and I kind of know how it ends, but I'm not quite sure that goes on in the middle. Do you have a way of drawing ideas out?
Yeah, look, I have a weekend full of exercises. That's basically what the Novelist Bootcamp does. And one of the key ways that we do this is we talk our ideas out. And it's one of the things that I take from my own practice. When I'm working on a novel, I'll sit down with another writer who might be at a similar stage in their process, and I'll say, right, I've got this idea and this idea. I'm not quite sure how that's going to connect, but I think this and maybe that. And you sort of talk it out. And as you talk it out and that person suggests things or acts as a sounding board for you, it starts to flesh itself out. So it's that sort of role of peer feedback is a really, really important one.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Kim. This has been wonderful.
I've really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.